Hello everyone, welcome to next session. In this session we will discuss the most basic protocol, that is HTTP. So HTTP is Hypertext Transfer Protocol. So HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. It is based on client server model. So it follows client server model, that is the basic foundation of this model. So what happens in the client server model is client sends a request to the server for suppose any data or anything, or suppose a web page or any website, and server in turn responds back with that, responds back to the request, right? So that is based on client server model. So one thing to note here is, so hyper here means to travel, right? So what HTTP does is, so suppose we have google.com, so in its own it's just a text, right? So to travel over the internet, to send some information or to get some information, a protocol is required, and that protocol is HTTP, right? That's why it is called hypertext transport protocol, that transports the information, right? To get some information. Protocols are some rules that are defined in the HTTP that need to be followed, like rules like there are actions defined like get, post, delete. Those are the actions defined in the HTTP on the basis of which HTTP works. These are all the actions we will be discussing in quite detail and using the example in a REST architecture. Next thing is stateless. So HTTP is a stateless protocol. So what stateless mean is that between two requests, suppose one request is sent and then suppose multiple requests are being sent, so one request is totally independent of the another request. There is no relation between those two requests. However, application still preserve some data like cookies and site data, but those are related to the sessions. So those are totally different, because if we consider HTTPS in that also, because SSL is not stateless, that is because that maintains a state also for storing the keys or for authenticating, right? So in its own, HTTP is stateless. There is no relation between any two requests which are sent to the server. So the work what HTTP does is it just request some information from the server. So server here can be any web server, any database server, so like we have YouTube, we have google.com, right? And the next thing is application layer protocol. So HTTP is application layer protocol. It sits over the transport layer. It sits over transport layer, and it uses TCP as the for transferring the information, right? So suppose now HTTP will request information. HTTP, suppose we have the browser here, and it will request information from the server, suppose YouTube. Then in that case it uses TCPs as the at the backend. So HTTP, the work of HTTP is just to request some information and get back that information. How that information is being requested at the backend, how the packets and how what type of information is sent, that is not the responsibility of HTTP. It is for that HTTP uses TCP, right? So that are few of the points which we should note, and we should have quite a good understanding of HTTP, because this is the basic foundation of in the API also. Oh, thank you guys. Let's meet you in the next session.